We're going to be talking about the Jewish protesters arrested after storming Trump Tower.
To nearly 100 people after
Let's take
a crowd of protesters stormed the lobby of Trump Tower in New York City.
And then we'll talk about how the Democrats caved.
The release of Mahmoud Khalil, a Palestinian activist, a graduate student at NYU, or rather at Columbia University. He is at risk of being deported after he helped lead protests against the war in Gaza at the university last year. Homeland Security officials have accused Khalil of being a Hamas sympathizer.
We spoke to one of the organizers of Jewish Voice for Peace about why they wanted to come out here. And to them, they said they did not want the First Amendment entrenched on, which is what they believe Khalil was doing over the course of leading some of the protests we saw out of Columbia University. But also they wanted to show solidarity from the Jewish people as well. Those were the words that one of the organizers told me as we spoke to her, as some of her protesters were being loaded onto these buses. There were no violent incidents in regards to the arrest themselves. Once they were taken into police custody, there did not seem to be any resistance. We did not hear of any resistance.
This is awesome, and it's a good thing. Civil disobedience and getting arrested, especially for groups like Jewish Voice for Peace, is an incredibly important tactic. I think it's the appropriate thing to do. I think it's the right thing to do. And I think that they are incredibly brave for putting their bodies on the line like this and using their privilege. The reason why I say that is because a lot of this conversation in the Western world revolves around how this is a Muslim versus Jew situation. This kind of stuff gets reported on by mainstream news, and it educates people who are maybe living in the rest of the country, maybe not around Jews, for example, that this is not actually a Jew versus Muslim situation at all, and that it's not like a scary terrorist that was arrested in this process. It reinforces that reality that this is about people's collective conscience and has nothing to do with like their ethnic background or, you know, centuries old Islam versus Judaism battles or whatever it shows solidarity. It reframes the conversation away from the ridiculous propaganda that you see from mainstream media. It plays a very important role that forces people to address the root cause of the issue and the lies that right-wingers tell about this issue, or the lies that Zionists tell about this issue. Doing it at Trump Tower is great because everybody hates Trump. All the liberals hate Trump. This will cause them to also look at the protests in a positive manner, like liberals who might be somewhat conflicted on this stuff, on the issue of Zionism, because at the end of the day, public discourse and public awareness is still fairly consequential, and you have to bring normies on board. It's not the entire way, okay? It's not the only way. It's not the only method, and I will not discount other methods. Having said that, this is a fairly significant way to reframe the narrative back to the truth, to take the reins of this narrative and reshape it so that people understand what is actually going on, what the dynamic truly looks like. To complex problems, especially structural and especially systematic issues that exist and persist, there's always going to be multiple different avenues of attack, pressure, all the way from militancy down to peaceful civil disobedience, all the way down to like broad awareness spreading campaigns. And that's why this is a good thing. Okay, this is a great thing. It's a wonderful thing, and I think that it's the right thing to do. It is the appropriate thing to do. It's the moral thing to do.
Joining us now, CNN senior national security analyst Juliette Kayyem. So Juliette, over 120 people entering Trump Tower, a law enforcement official telling CNN at the height of this. Tell us a little bit about that security setup there now that it's not Trump's official residence.
Yeah, so I'm surprised by this. I would have assumed that just given the public nature of Trump's commercial activities, it would be very difficult to have 100 people come. It was clearly a secretively planned protest, and they were arrested.
I knew it was going to happen. May or may not know some people that were there and may or may not gotten arrested. Wasn't that big of a secret. But, you know, she's right. It was planned ahead of time. Deliberately.
And this is the interesting thing about Trump, without getting into whether he should or shouldn't do it. And we saw this with Elon Musk with the Teslas. because they've broken down the distinction between their public roles and their private commercialization, monetization rules, you are seeing these protests touch them in their commercial space. We saw this with Elon Musk and attacks on Tesla, as well as now this protest. Donald Trump cannot close down Trump Tower. It's a commercial space. It's a residential space. And so they are sort of dealing with, I think, in some ways, the consequences of that merger of monetization and policy and the First Amendment.
So these arrests, charging people with obstructing government administration.
By the way, these people are very openly, unapologetically, and deliberately showcasing that they are Jewish. Very little distinctions are being made, very little commentaries being made about that fact. And I have to assume that a certain point is got to be deliberate. They barely mention it in the beginning, where they were like, oh yeah, Jewish Voice for Peace is the group. And then that's it. Them being Jewish is a part of this process, is a part of this protest. It is like an important part of the protest. That's why it's called Jewish Voice for Peace. You know what I mean? That's why they put it on their signage. And it's not because of Jewish exceptionalism or whatever. It's because in order to break through the pre-established narratives surrounding Islamophobia, surrounding the way to normalize or obfuscate the truth about Israel by claiming that it's directly tied and associated with Judaism around the world, and certainly in America, is by doing shit like this.
The interesting thing about this is this was organized by a Jewish group. So the narrative of, well, sort of pro-Hamas, pro-Palestinian equals pro-Hamas Arabs that is often used, and it was used in Mahmoud's case. Khalil's.
Why did you say the quiet part out loud, bro? What the? She's like, yeah, normally we would be like, if they're Arabs, they love Al-Qaeda, but they're Jews, so we can't say that. That's insane. Normally we'd be like, hey, they love Hamas. Look at these dirty Arabs. They love Hamas. But when they're Jews, we can't say that. It makes it harder to say that. Oh my Lord. Ay, ay, ay. What a f***ing insane moment of honesty right there.
Case is harder to make against Jewish organizations. I have no doubt that that's why they did it, because there's great diversity within the Jewish American population about what's going on, divisions amongst them. And I think that's a very important part of this narrative of who it was organized by and why.
We are here.
If they mention that these people are Jewish at all on Fox News, they will do my favorite thing that I love seeing, which is, I call it Gentile confidence, where a bunch of the most Christian looking motherfuckers will sit there and be like, yeah, these Jews are bad. They're not real Jews, actually. We should put them in concentration camps, actually. And it's like the most golden retriever looking ass blonde lady you've ever seen in your life saying that. And you're like, how does this not ring any alarm bells? You're not Jewish. Just like a shocking display of overt anti-Semitism. If they mentioned that the group's called Jewish Voice for Peace at all.
Protesting against the defamation and deprivation of Mahmoud by Donald Trump. I don't really understand what Donald Trump's intentions are, and I won't speak for them, but I will say that the impact is causing a lot of harm to people who are asking for peace.
So there's that. Katie Pavlich joins us with her reaction. But first, let's get an update from the New York City Police, from the chief of the department, John Schell. Chief, good to have you here today. Do you have any idea who this group is, or who pays for these T-shirts, who organized it all? Any idea?
Yeah, we're well versed in this group. I don't want to give them any advertisement. We've dealt with them before. We know what their MO is, if you will. And again, I just can't stress enough.
Just say their name, bro. Why won't you say it? Just say the name of the group. What is it? You're very familiar with them, huh? I doubt that you wouldn't be openly talking about it if it was like, I don't know, Arab Muslims for peace or some shit. You'd be like, yeah, I'll say it. It's Hamas. It's fucking Hamas. That's right. These guys love Hamas.
That in 2 hours we got this cleared up. 98 people. We had to carry people up escalators and walk them out. It's not the easiest thing to do in the world, but our training and our
oh my God. I feel so bad for you, sir. Jesus Christ.
professionalism to our cops, we do this very well in New York City.
Indeed you do. Thank you so much, Chief Shell. Always good to see you. Thank you for what you do to keep the people of New York City safe. And as you say, 5,000 protests of this kind in the past year or so since October 7th is extraordinary. Thank you so much, Chief. Good to see you.
Have a great day, Martha.
You too. Thank you, sir.
Interesting. Not one mention of the name of the organization. You housed the criminal? Yeah, I know. Damn, 2 minutes ago. That's crazy.
Refuse to believe they're all students. They're coming from, wherever they're coming from with pre-printed T-shirts. There's some money behind this, Lisa, and there's no doubt about that because we've lived through this before. So this is what open borders potentially can bring you. I can't believe everybody.
Come on, say it. Say who funds the protest. Say the Jews funded the protest. Come on, say it. Oh, shit, look at Noah. He's right there. They should have never let this criminal back out on the streets. Yet another terrorist that I've had on the broadcast. When will this Hassan guy stop constantly having terrorists on his stream?
Everybody's here on a student visa and or a green card in the crowd, or that they're all American citizens. I think we have to find that out. And where it is applicable, as Ari has said, get them out. I refuse to believe they're all students. They're coming from.
That's so funny. Look at that. I can't believe Noah tricked you by hiding his radical beliefs. Yeah, you can tell that the Republicans are having a hard time covering this because, like, the shirts very clearly say Jewish Voice for Peace, not in our name, and the people that are being arrested are Jewish. Like, it's difficult. It plays a role in this, in the narrative that you want to craft as, like, this is a entirely Arab Muslim thing. And this isn't to say that, like, I mean, Islamophobia is very real, okay? Trust me, I know personally, okay? But because Islamophobia is so real, like, a lot of the media narratives around this stuff revolve around this being, like, a purely Muslim issue or whatever. And they set it up that way so they can easily undermine it. Now, there's two different ways to go about it. One, to combat the Islamophobia directly, but also simultaneously explain to people that it's not like a Muslim Jew issue at all. It's an issue for those with a conscience versus those who are inhumane barbarians.
Are calm now, but it was a chaotic couple of hours inside Trump Tower. The NYPD says among the charges in these arrests is trespassing and obstructing governmental administration. The NYPD says around 150 people entered Trump Tower in plain clothes. But once inside, they revealed protest shirts and signs and staged a sit-in.
Within 10 minutes, we started responding here from the police department. Within 40 minutes, 50 minutes, we started making arrests.
Police carried out demonstrators like Josh Dubnow.
We have a right to express our opinions, but I refuse to allow my fear to stop me from expressing my First Amendment rights.
The demonstration organized by the group Jewish Voice for Peace, which is an anti-Zionist Jewish group.
We're seeing the Trump regime weaponize anti-Semitism to attack freedom of speech.
The Anti-Defamation League says it does not represent the mainstream Jewish community. Attorney Gerard Falitti is an activist with the group End Jew Hatred.
The issue is not students saying that they support Palestine, but it's rather students taking action, blocking Jewish students from accessing parts.
Oh, God. They're not blocking Jewish students from accessing certain parts of the campus. Shut the f up. I mean, it's like, look at this. I mean, obviously, look. This motherfucker got a CIA mug behind him. No shit. God damn, dude. Lying is OP. Lying is so OP. Lying is so OP. It's just like, there's no interest in the truth. The Democrats, liberal media, everyone in positions of power have unironically gone along with this like lie over and over and over and over and over and over again. That it has basically become the established truth. It doesn't matter.
Parts of campus. When you're talking about globalizing the Intifada is known as specifically violence targeting Jews in Israel. So you are selectively discriminating against an identifiable group of people, which is, in this case, anti-Semitic.
This comes on the same day the Council on American Islam.
After talking to Hamas, U.S. hostage negotiator Adam Baylor reportedly removed from position. There it is, dude. Benjamin Netanyahu sends his regards, you know?
Islamic Relations New York filed a lawsuit against Columbia University and the Congressional Committee on Education and Workforce. Plaintiffs are Khalil and 7 other students who say the school handing over student disciplinary records to that committee a few months ago violated the Family Education Rights Privacy Act.
Allowing Congress and institutions like Columbia and others to target you or someone else because of a viewpoint you hold is an epic danger to American values.
Troy Egger, second in command at the Department of Homeland Security on Mahmoud Khalil. Is any criticism of the United States government a deportable offense? Like I said, if you go through the process and you're a student and you're here on a visa and you go through it at any point, is any criticism of the government a deportable offense? Question again. Let me put it this way, Michael. Imagine if we came in and filled out the form and said, I want a student visa. They asked him, what are you going to do here? And he says, I'm going to go and protest. We would never have let him into this country. Martin says, is protesting a deportable offense? You're focused on protests. I'm focused on the visa process. He went through a legal process. They are doing the thing that I was trying to describe to Asmongold when he just simply did not understand. As it stands, there is no rule in the rule book that says you can deport someone for exercising their First Amendment rights, non-citizen, citizen alike. That's not a thing. You can, however, waive the visa of a person if you believe that they are interested in protest, or you can deny them entry into the country. But once you're in the country, it's over. You get the same protections as everybody else. What these guys are trying to do is play fast and loose with the pre-existing law that is already stupid, by the way, that like, oh, we can waive your visa up until the point of entry into this country if you say that you're going to protest or whatever. That's ridiculous, okay? Not only is that ridiculous, but also that would require a tremendous amount of surveillance, to figure out like, whether or not someone is demonstrating Palestinian sympathies and shit like that. That's insane. The very fact that we are discussing this as though it is just simply a back and forth is terrifying. And the very fact that people don't understand how gross of a violation of people's human rights this is, and how this desecrates the Constitution of the United States and the free speech protections it affords everyone unconditionally is shocking, genuinely shocking. We are officially directly in the throes of fascism. We're not one step removed from fascism. We're not bouldering towards fascism. This is fascism. If they can retroactively apply visa waiver denials to people that have already become legal permanent residents, they can denaturalize people too. This sets an insane precedent. And if they can retroactively decide and denaturalize people, they can deport people. They can deport American citizens. Why can they? And they can do it for virtually any reason they choose to do so. As long as you call someone a terrorist, you're good to go. And considering that the Trump administration has talked about vandalizing Teslas as an act of terror, trust me, it's coming. You are a moron if you don't recognize this. I am not saying, I'm not like I'm not exaggerating. I'm not freaking out for no reason, okay? This is truly unique new levels of depravity for the American government. I'm not fear-mongering. Thank you. I was forgetting the word. I am not fear-mongering when I say this. I am looking at the logical conclusion by making assessments off of what the administration is saying and also their proclivity to follow through on some of these promises that they've made on the campaign trail, whether it be Project 2025 and its implementation or whether it be directly denaturalizing people. This is straightforward Nazi shit. The Deputy Secretary Troy Egger unwilling to answer a simple question.
Is any criticism of the Israeli government a deportable offense?
Like I said, I think that at this point, when he was entered into the country on a student visa, at any point we can go through and evaluate what his status is, and the Secretary of State
is any
basically
criticism of the
using his
United
right.
States government a deportable offense?
Yeah, this is not hyperbole. I am telling you exactly what is going on, and I'm telling you where this is going to go. Understand the danger in front of us right now. And our institutions that are supposed to be, at least to a certain degree, interested in upholding, peaceful education for its students and and maintain some semblance of normalcy are completely caving. They are caving to the right-wing reactionary neo-Nazi administration and its Nazi-ass policies. We're there. Donald Trump also earlier today talked about how he wants the Supreme Court to allow him to end birthright citizenship. Again, directly a violation of the Constitution. This is constitutionally protected. He wants to reverse the 14th Amendment.
Like I said, if you go through the process and you're a student and you're here on a visa and you go through at any point.
Is any criticism of the government a deportable offense?
It is shocking how much these guys will make it seem as though Israel has the American government by the fucking balls, dude. Truly. Like, this is some real neo-Nazi, anti-Semitic conspiracy shit. The way these dudes operate. Like, you're the deputy secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, and you're like, yeah, if you criticize Israel, like, you'll get deported. That's insane. If you criticize a foreign nation, you'll get deported. Holy shit.
It's like I said, as a student, he comes to the United States on a student visa, applies. Well, let me put it this way, Michelle. Imagine if he came in and filled out the form and said, I want a student visa. They asked him, what are you going to do here? And he said,
he was
I'm
a
going
student.
to go and protest and
so
join
is protest
an
a
anti-Semitic
deportable
activity.
event?
We would never have let him into the country.
Is protesting a deportable offense?
Like I said, you're focused on protesting. I'm focused on the visa process. He went through a legal process, came into the country.
Are you saying that he lied on his application? He's a lawful permanent resident married to an American citizen.
Well, I think if he would have declared he's a terrorist, we would have never let him in.
And
dog, what are you saying? He didn't do terrorism. You're just racistly saying he's a terrorist. Oh my God. The third wave of Red Scare is upon us. And this time it's basically anything and everything. It's being built around the pre-existing network of combating anti-Semitism, which is not actually to combat anti-Semitism at all, but is the silent dissent against Israel, and using that as an entry point into overriding some of the most important, if not the most important, constitutional protections that the government offers to every single person. This is terrifying. It's happening in front of our eyes. It's unfolding in front of our eyes. And there's still a bunch of dumb motherfuckers who don't recognize it and, dare I say, entertain it and celebrate it.
What did he engage in that constitutes terrorist activity?
I mean, Michelle, have you watched it on TV? It's pretty clear.
No, it isn't. Well, explain it to those of us who have not, or perhaps others have not. What exactly did he do?
Well, I think it's clear, or we shouldn't be talking about it. I mean, the reality is that if you watch and see what he's done on the university.
Do you not know? Are you telling us that you're not aware? You don't know what he did?
No,
I
find it interesting that you're not aware.
I think you could explain it to us. I think others would like to know exactly what the offenses are, what the propaganda was that you allege, what the activity was that you allege. Well, perhaps we can talk again and you can give us more details about this. And that's Department of Homeland Security.
It's alarming that they're this incompetent, by the way. They're bouldering through this, and institutions like Columbia are also caving to this pressure. They're caving to donor pressure, and they're caving to outside government pressure because their funds, their grants are being removed. Right now, they're doing it for Israel, okay? They're doing it for Israel. That's just what this is. What makes you think tomorrow they're not going to do this for, I don't know, gay students, trans students, black students, anything they want? What makes you think they're not going to do this because you have too much DEI, for example? That's also an intentionally vague definition. You're a moron if you think that that's not going to happen.